Now, Eric Clapton has always sucked, and I don't even necessarily mean musically. I just mean, like, everything you ever hear about the guy, people are just like, he's just an unpleasant man to be around. And not only that, and this is why I wanted to talk to you, the member of an anti-racist punk band specifically, is because whether you realize it or not, the legacy that y'all carry on in the Alex Jonestown Massacre, in many ways, you could trace right back to Eric Clapton, weirdly, because Eric Clapton is one of the most influential musicians in history, and not for a reason you would want to be. So on August 5th, 1976, Eric Clapton was standing on stage in Birmingham, England, and he said this. This was his speech that he was giving in between, one assumes, Lay Down Sally and Crossroads. Do we have any foreigners in the audience tonight? If so, please put up your hands. So, where are you? Well, wherever you are, I think you should all leave. And I don't just mean the concert hall. I mean leave our country. I don't want you here. I don't want you in the room. I don't want you in the country. Listen to me, man. I think we should send them all back. Stop Britain from becoming a black colony. Get the foreigners out. And I'm going to omit some words here because there's some fucking words here. Get the foreigners out. Keep Britain white. The blacks and Arabs and fucking Jamaicans do not belong here. We don't fucking want them. This is England. This is a white country. We don't want any black, and then there's two right in a row there, hard ones, living here. We need to make it clear to them that they are not welcome. England is for white people, man. This is Great Britain, a white country. What is happening to us, for fuck's sake? Throw the blank out. Keep Britain white. So the tough bit about that, aside from all of it, is that this is 1976, and Eric Clapton, about a year and a half earlier, had a hit with I Shot the Sheriff, who were very much written by a Jamaican guy named Bob Marley.
Right.
So, first of all, and he's basically standing on top of the work of Robert Johnson and Muddy Waters and all of those black blues musicians that he kind of ripped off in Cream and in his early career. Like that's his whole thing, is just stealing from B.B. King and shit. So for him to say that is wild, right?
Right, yeah. Eric Clapton needs to listen to the specials, man. Like, what is going on?
Well, so interesting you say that. The specials are going to come in here in just a second because this shit is wild. I mean, this is fucking wild. So, and also I should point out that he kept repeating the phrase, keep Britain white. Keep Britain white is the slogan of the British Fascist Party called the National Front. And it was also during this rant that Eric Clapton expressed support of the extreme right-wing anti-immigration politician Enoch Powell. So this is the rest of the rant where he says, listen to me, man. I think we should vote for Enoch Powell. Enoch's our man. I think Enoch's right. I think we should send them all back. Stop Britain from becoming a black colony. Get the foreigners out. I used to be into dope, and now I'm into racism. It's much heavier, man.
What?
and the funny thing is, this is like the proto example of how you try to do damage control after saying some crazy racist shit.
Right. At the very end there, it's basically just like, I can't get a boner anymore, is basically what he's saying. Like, I used to fuck a lot, and now it won't even get off.
Yeah. He says, this is the end of it. Fucking Saudis taking over London. Britain is becoming overcrowded, and Enoch will stop it and send them back. We need to make clear they are not welcome. England is for white people, man. We are a white country. And so... all of that is fucking wild, but the line, I used to be into dope and now I'm into racism.
Yeah, that
shit is fucking nuts. And after this happened, like I said, this is like the proto example of how to do damage control after saying some racist shit, because he was later like, I just wanted to announce that I am an alcoholic.
No shit.
That was his like excuse, which is like so similar to Spacey being like, yeah, I raped a bunch of people, but I'm gay now. You're just like, that doesn't fucking mean anything. You said this shit.
Exactly, yeah.
Carl Phillips, who is a novelist and a professor of English at Yale University, was a teenager at the time of this rant, and he was actually in the crowd. Carl also happens to be Caribbean, and he immigrated to England as a child. So this is a literature professor recalling the evening.
Okay.
He says, when he started talking about Enoch Powell and how Enoch was right, I felt embarrassed, and I could tell that my best friend I was with felt embarrassed, and we really couldn't talk about it. But the thing that made it really awful, aside from the actual racism of the comments and aside from the hostility that he was giving out, the venom from the stage, was that he would play a couple of songs, and I'd think, oh, thank God, it's over. It's gone away now. It's not coming back. We've dealt with it. And then he would start up again. So he was doing this the whole show. It's not like he just said some offhand shit. He would play 2 songs and then he'd be racist for like 5 minutes. And then he'd play 2 songs and then he'd be racist for 5 minutes. It went on and on. That's why so much of this is so heavily quoted, is because unlike America, the English like review concerts. So there's reporters there taking notes and shit. So that's why we have this.
Yeah, like it's like you do the repartee in between, some songs like Blink-182, whatever. But instead of Dick and Fark jokes, it's just blatant racism.
Right? It's
coming at you whether you like it or not. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna build a wall, a beautiful wall. So Carl ends up by saying, so it was a betrayal in a way that is kind of primal, in a way that only an adolescent could feel it. I never wanted to listen to Eric Clapton again after that. So fair.
Yeah.
Very fair. So yeah, he's like a Caribbean guy. He's like the guy he's talking about, just in the crowd like, yo, I paid to be here, man.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear cocaine. Shut up. So Clapton would try to dismiss the whole thing in an interview with Sounds magazine later that year. Quote, I thought it was quite funny, actually. I don't know much about politics. I don't even know if it would be good or bad for Enoch to get in. I don't even know who the prime minister is now. He laughed. I just don't know what came over me that night. It must have been something that happened that day. So, first of all, that's kind of the perfect rich guy boomer excuse. Is like, oh, I don't even know what's happening with politics.
But it definitely happened during the day, because I totally didn't do something people usually do at night during the day.
Yeah. He has since gone on to claim that he was drunk, which is the template for later racist. He also claimed at some point that a Pakistani dignitary groped his wife backstage, and that's what set him off.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm like, okay, that's like just like a weird thing to happen, but I don't know. I don't know about
Well,
that.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know what really triggered my racism?
was a guy from Pakistan grabbed my wife, and then I went on a rant about it for the whole show.
I mean, that's all it takes, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, and this is his other quote, which is also perfect. Like, I don't see color bullshit, where he says, when I listen to music, man, I was disinterested where the players came from or what color their skin was. And then he says, interesting then that 10 years later I would be labeled a racist. So that was in his autobiography, where he was trying to say like, yeah, we didn't care what people were. And then he's like, still got that, he's still pissed about this. That people
but I mean,
accurately said he was racist.
Absolutely. But people still do that like literally right now on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. I got tons of black friends.
Exactly, yeah. Someone's using that exact line right now. I'm sure that gets typed per minute, at least once or twice a minute. I mean, out of all the people that exist.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, this is where the turnaround happened. So meanwhile, members of the agitprop theater group Cartoon Clowns, Red Saunders, Roger Huddle, Joe Refford, and Pete Bruno had come up with an idea earlier in 1976 to form an anti-racist group in response to what they saw as growing xenophobia and racism in the UK. According to Huddle, quote, it remained just an idea until August of 1976 when Eric Clapton made a declaration of support for Enoch Powell. The group responded by writing a letter to New Musical Express expressing their opposition to Clapton's remarks. They claimed that these were more disgusting because he had one of his first big hits with I Shot the Sheriff. And this is their quote in New Musical Express. Quote, come on, Eric, own up. Half your music is black. Who shot the sheriff, Eric? It sure as hell wasn't you. So at the end of the letter, they called for people to help form a movement called Rock Against Racism. And they received hundreds of eager replies from fans who recognized the hypocrisy and wanted to proclaim the black roots of the music that they loved. The next year, Rock Against Racism gained a bigger profile as well as a political context when the Anti-Nazi League was established in 1977. So together, the Anti-Nazi League and Rock Against Racism were able to build a massive movement against British Nazis. And so they actually started having these concerts. And so keep in mind, any punk rocker, the year 1977 should send up a lot of antennas.
Absolutely.
So that's who's doing these fucking concerts. So they have these gigantic festivals all over the UK. The carnival in Victoria Park in London featured The Clash, Tom Robinson, and Steel Pulse, and it attracted 85,000 people. So
that is fucking massive.
They had another carnival in the north of England with 25,000 who showed up to see the Buzzcocks, Graham Parker and the Rumor, and Misty and Roots. And they also had a fanzine called Temporary Hoarding, which is still today known as the most revolutionary cultural paper in Britain. So these festivals also led to the popularization of a lot of two-tone ska bands like the Specials, which is where they got featured. And I wanted to mention this because I thought this was fucking cool. It is said that the famous black and white checkerboard pattern seen on a lot of ska merch comes from this era and is meant to represent black and white musicians playing together, standing for unity between the races. So again,
or it just means you're in 7th grade and you're really lame. That's
hey, either way. Hey, man.
I know. Exactly. I never outgrew it, but again, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so like I said before, Eric Clapton, probably one of the most influential artists in British history, but not because of his music. Eric Clapton is such an asshole. He popularized an entire genre of music that showed up to be like, hey, fuck you, Eric.
Exactly, yeah.
So, this is just part of an ongoing legacy of Eric Clapton being a fucking douchebag. Van Morrison's the one that shocked me, and apparently he's just been like this, and I just didn't notice.
Oh, God. Well, maybe it's one of those things, Rivers, where it's just like, I can't follow him anymore because he has just let me down so much. Like, for example, like our lead singer, Patrick, loves Morrissey on a level that is just like, he is his God, but it's just unforgivable. And what Patty says about him is basically, it's irresponsible journalism to ask Morrissey's opinion on anything at this point.
Yeah, no, that's true. Well, it's the same. I mean, as I've said on the show many times, I'm like, I can't stop liking Kanye West's first 4 albums. I just can't.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, again, and then you just look at the president shit and you're like, oh shit, God, he was going through something and they were just putting cameras on.
Right.
It just sucks. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know why Morrissey is the way he is, but you're right. Just don't ask him about anything.
Yeah, exactly. But also someone that horrible can literally relate to fucking, hundreds of thousands of people and feel the same things. And it's just like, goddamn, humans are complex, horrible creatures.
Yeah, that's wow. That's damn. That's it. That's our two. That's our two adjectives.
Episode. Merry Christmas.
That's our two adjectives. Hot damn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Complex and horrible.